Hi guys, welcome to my channel. If you clicked on this link, chances are that you've got the opportunity to stay in the UK or to migrate to the UK, by whatever means it is. If it's on a positive note, either through school or work, I want to say a big congratulations to you. I know how daunting it can be when you are moving out of your home country to stay in another country, and I have been there before and I saw how daunting it was, how difficult it was trying to, find a way to settle in before I come. Because as a matter of fact, it's part of the planning stages that you get through before you actually move. So you're probably asking, how do you rent a place in the UK? So there are two main sites that I'll recommend to you, and those are Zoopla and Rightmove. So these are the two main sites that if you want to either buy or rent a house or a flat or whatever property it is, you can find over there. So usually you are more likely to speak to an agent. There are a few times that you are likely to be dealing directly with a landlord, but most of the time it's going to be a letting agent. So these agents would leave their numbers and their emails over there. If you are usually if you're outside the UK, chances are that you would email them. But if you're within the UK on a house hunting, then you might want to call them. So either ways work. So there are a few requirements that you need to have in order to be able to rent a property in the UK. If you're a student, apart from your immigration checks and all that, and your ID checks, you also need to provide a guarantor. So most of the time, the guarantor has to be based in the UK. So usually, the guarantor serves as someone who will be able to pay your debt in case you are irresponsible. If you want me to do a video on how a student can get in and settle in or get an accommodation before they come, I would happily do that for you. So if you're coming in to work in the UK, then definitely you are going to go through some ID checks. So you have to, the landlord will, or the letting agent will ask for your passport, which will also show your name, your age, your nationality. So all the personal details about you. Very, very important for them to know who they are dealing with. Another thing they would ask for is proof of right to stay in the UK. Usually, if you are not yet in the UK, then you can't provide the biometric residence permit. So you have to show your visa that gives you the right to stay in the UK. So another very important thing that they would ask for will be your right to rent. So a landlord or a letting agent will ask for your right to rent, and by that you need to generate a share code online and then hand it over to your letting agent or your landlord, who will be able to verify online that you have the right to rent. Now, it's not everyone that travels to the UK that has the right to rent. So, for example, an asylum seeker does not have the right to rent. And yeah, so basically you need to prove that. And the reason I believe you have to provide a share code and not just provide proof of your employment or proof of your school admission is that anyone can forge anything. Anyone can just present any document to a landlord or a letting agent that they have a job or they've got whatever it is that they are coming to, but it could be untrue. So they want to make the system as fair and transparent as possible. So you just go online and then you generate a share code and you share with your landlord or your letting agent. I'll leave the link to how to generate the share code in my description box for anybody that would be interested. So after securing the place, it doesn't end there. You need to know your rights and your responsibilities as a tenant here in the UK. One of the basic rights that you can ever enjoy in any accommodation, any private accommodation that you are renting, is that that place should be safe and it should be in a good state of repair. So chances are that you're probably moving into an accommodation that was previously rented out to someone else. Most of the time, after they leave, there are some basic repairs that they need to do before you move in. As a basic right, you need to make sure that the place is safe. So you just need to make sure that you do your safety checks in the house. You check that the smoke alarm is working. You check if there is a carbon monoxide alarm over there. You check that it's also working. You also check that there are no loose or hanging cables somewhere that could cause fires or electric shocks to you. I mean, some basic safety checks in the house. You need to make sure that you do it. And then make sure that it's in a reasonable state of repair. Because, I mean, for example, when I moved into my accommodation, I realized that the seat on the toilet bowl wasn't, it had shifted, you get it? And then I had to call them that I can't use a toilet like that. You need to make sure that the seat is in a good state before I move in. And they came to fix it. So, I mean, you do not get scared. If there is something that is not in a good state, make sure that they do it before you move in, or you start staying in, or maybe the first day of staying in, you call them. Then they'll make sure that they get it done within your first few days. I mean, so a lot of times these letting agents are highly responsible. So the moment you call on them, they will answer. Another right that you get to enjoy is that you have the right to stay in your apartment without being unduly disturbed. Okay, so if you find that your letting agent or your landlord is coming into your apartment every now and then, guys, you can call them out. Let them know that you can't, put up with that. You can inform them that, they are disturbing you and you do not want it. So it's another right that you get to enjoy. Don't allow them to be coming in every now and then whenever they want or whenever they wish. They can't disturb you. You need your privacy. You need your space. But of course, if they are there for some repairs, if they are there for electrical inspection or all those their annual inspections, then of course it makes sense. But they can't just be coming in every now and then for trivial stuff. So another right that you get to enjoy as a tenant is that you have the right to see the energy performance certificate of the building. So before you move into a building, you can request for the energy performance certificate from your landlord or your letting agent, and that will provide you with how energy efficient the property is. Now, most of the time when you're moving into a property, I mean, there are few properties that would not require a deposit, but most of the time you would have to leave a deposit. And when you're leaving the property at the end of your tenancy, you have the right to have all your deposits paid back to you. I mean, there are a few times that some letting agents will want to take some because of, some repairs that they need to make based on your contract. I mean, whatever it is that is in your contract, if you are leaving and you have, breached anything and some repairs need to be done, then obviously it's going to be recouped from your deposit. Other than that, there is no way they are supposed to touch your money. They are supposed to give it back to you. Now, another right that you get to enjoy is that you are protected from unfair eviction. So, under no unfair grounds can a landlord ask you to leave a property. So if at any point your landlord is evicting you and you feel that you are being treated unfairly or unlawfully, you can actually seek redress. Another right that you get to enjoy as a tenant is that if you are in the property, ideally, landlords are not supposed to increase the accommodation fee more than once in a year. So if even when they are applying the charges, the additional charges once in a year, and you feel the increment is excessive, you can actually challenge it. You have the right to challenge that. Apart from that, if there has been any damage to anything and they are seeking that you pay for it and you feel the charges are exorbitant, you can actually challenge it. So I've actually been in a position where I have challenged excessively high charges on very, very trivial stuff that actually my letting agent was taking out of my deposit when I was leaving my previous apartment. And it was just ridiculous. I actually spoke to some professionals, and they actually found that if I took a step further to dispute it, like took it through the proper way of disputing it, or if they wouldn't agree with me and I had to, seek redress in a proper way, I was going to definitely win, and I was probably going to get my entire money given back to me and more. Who knows? So, I mean, if you feel the monies they are taking from you are high or the charges are high, please do challenge it. Don't let it go. Whether at the end of your tenancy or while you are still there. Another very important thing that we all don't bother ourselves with is that we have the right to know who our landlord is. Like I said earlier, a lot of times, I mean, chances are that you are going to be dealing with a letting agent, and who bothers themselves with finding who their landlord is? A lot of times you don't bother yourself with it, but you actually have the right to know who your landlord is. So a typical example is what I gave about my previous home when I was leaving, and then my letting agent wanted to take all of my deposit. It was a nightmare for me at the time. If I knew who my landlord was, or if I had requested to know who my landlord was at the time of my tenancy, probably I could have negotiated better with my landlord to get a lot of my money given back to me. I mean, more than I had, even though I had a lot. But I could have had a lot more through my landlord, but I didn't even know who my landlord was. But it is one of the rights you get to enjoy as a tenant. And if you ask when you are staying in, while you're staying in the property, you ask for the landlord's details, like the name and their place of residence and all that. You ask for their details and they don't provide you with it within 21 days, you can actually take them on. Yes, you can actually take them on and they'll be fined. It's a criminal offense. So the whole point here is that they get to know all about you, knowing your accommodation, I mean, your place of residence and all that. These are personal data. These are personal information. And even when you are leaving the place, the apartment, wherever you are moving to, you have to provide them the details of the place that you are moving to. So these are people who know so much about you, so much identifiable, data about you, and you know nothing about them. So, I mean, the whole point here is just to maintain fairness. You know where I am, who I am, and I know who you also are. So it's your basic right to also enjoy that. So if you fancy it, go for it. If you have a tenancy agreement, make sure that whatever is written in there conforms to what the law says. If there is anything that your letting agent wants you to be doing that ideally is supposed to be their responsibility, then you can call them out. So don't accept just anything in your tenancy agreement. I know a lot of times, because you just want a place to sleep, you just want a place to live, because there is a high level of house hunting going on in the UK, because a lot of people are moving from one house to the next, or probably not getting any decent place to stay. So when you're moving in and you have a place to live, you just want a place to lay your head, and that's what matters to you. But these are some of the rights that you get to enjoy. And if you are not careful, just because you are desperate, some letting agents might take advantage of you, or some landlords might take advantage of you and make you do what is supposed to be their responsibility. So I hope this helps, and see you in my next video, where I talk about your responsibilities as a tenant. If you have not yet subscribed to my channel, please do so, and like my videos, share for others to also benefit. See you in my next video. Bye.